I live a pretty normal life. I go to my office job, make small talk, have my work friends, go drinking. Nothing out of the ordinary. I am 28, probably around 165. I don't really put a lot of focus into my physique. I used to not put a lot of focus into it. I joined a gym recently. It's awful, and I hate every second, but I cannot give up on it. I want to be better. I need to be better. I grew up with no interest in anything, really. Sports didn't interest me. Art didn't tickle my fancy. I was never really a fan of cooking. Hunting interested me for a little. I enjoy the peace of being in nature, lying in the mud while I watch Mother Nature in full effect. I love the outside. I imagine that being buried will be the first time I am surrounded by enough nature to truly smile. I hated killing the animals. It made me feel guilty. I watched Bambi when I was young, and I guess it stuck with me. I was never really one for relationships. I never had a partner in high school. I mean, sure, I had crushes. I remember Tracy Bowen like it was yesterday. Those feelings never went anywhere. They didn't deserve to. Tracy herself did go somewhere. She went missing sophomore year. She got a note proclaiming a crush, saying to meet her in the school greenhouse at midnight to meet her secret admirer. Next morning, all that was found was some of her blood, which stained our peas and a broken off fingernail. Not an acrylic or anything, but the very nail that grew from her flesh. I think about Tracy Bowen sometimes. She made me feel seen, just for a moment. The shame she never saw all of me, and I never did get to tell her how I felt. Her secret admirer was never identified. Both of them disappeared into the night, and, well, not peacefully, it seems. The students were told to travel in groups from that point on, and a security guard was hired. I hated the new group rule. I never connected with anyone but Tracy. I would have liked her to have been in my group. I usually stuck in the back of the group. I never had anything to add to the conversation. They never asked for my input anyways. One time I noticed that they hadn't looked to check I was still with them for a couple of minutes. I decided to test something. I slowed myself to a stop. They kept their pace. I stood still for a moment longer. They continued to walk on without me. I stood still, watching as they walked, and I kept still, watching them until they turned a corner and were out of sight. Just like that, I was alone on the dirt road, leading from school to home. I didn't walk home that night. I walked straight back to school. The security guard was present, but he was busy watching the kids who got driven home. Looking back, he wasn't much of a security guard. He was older, maybe 65. He was out of shape, couldn't run if his life depended on it. Had long, shaggy hair that covered his eyes, face. It was a wonder he could see the book in front of him that he always had his nose buried in. I walked around the school and under the police tape to enter the greenhouse. Everything was seemingly untouched since the discovery of the scene that morning. I took a close look at her fingernail, noticed it was bent out of shape, torn out by a tool, I'm sure. I looked at all the blood, the splatter from a slashing motion. I stood right where I imagined her secret admirer did, imagining how she looked before it all went awry. They had wrestled at some point. Many of our plants were crushed by what looked like an intense struggle. It seems the struggle ended a few yards from the peas, destroying our tomatoes. Tracy Bowen's body did turn up a couple of months later. Apparently, she had been kept in the woods in some makeshift cabin. Police released a statement stating it seemed she had starved, unable to get food in her restraints. In front of her was a body, burnt to a crisp, assumedly the secret admirer. He was too burnt and rotten to be identified, so he was never given a title other than secret admirer. The story that detectives were able to piece together was that Tracy rejected the man, which led to the attack and kidnapping. He kept her alive for a few weeks, feeding her in this makeshift cabin and continuing to try and get her to accept his feelings. After so long, they guessed that he figured he couldn't change her mind. He felt he couldn't live without her, so he would prove to her that she was in a very similar boat. He set himself aflame in front of her and left her restrained to starve. It was odd. The man was not a part of our school. No students went missing other than Tracy. No one else in town had vanished either. It was as if the devil himself sent this man out of some abyss to take the life of an innocent girl. It took a few months after the discovery of her body, but the group buddy rule was eventually dismissed. Not that much would change for me. I was walking home alone either way. Tracy was the only girl I had ever liked. I used to never care about making myself desirable, so naturally I was never desired. But something has changed that. Someone has changed that. You changed that. I had never wanted to be desired until I began to desire you. Love has to be mutual or else it isn't truly love. I may be getting ahead of myself just slightly. See, you transferred to our branch just some random day of the week, and well, you were nothing out of the ordinary. No offense. You did your work, you made the jokes, made the connections, just like I do. But unlike me, I think you actually care about these connections. I couldn't really care less about these people I have been spending my days surrounded with. They don't interest me. I don't care that Travis did varsity track or that Bethany is a proud auntie. I remember these facts for convenience, not out of genuine care. It's easier to seem nice, take a little time to engage, than to just bury myself in soulless work. Maybe I do care, just not in a way I recognize. But you, I can see it in your eyes. You relate to Travis and his stories about running. You did swim in high school. You, while not a auntie or proud cat mama. You bring in donuts for everyone at the end of the week because you care that we have something to look forward to. And it doesn't seem like a chore to you at all. You seem happy to give. I have never seen you take. You give your attention, care, and kindness to everyone you interact with. While these are all things I have grown to admire about you now, They went undetected at first. It wasn't until we were assigned to work on the same project that I learned how truly perfect you are. We had hit our lunch break, and that was when I figured out I had forgotten to pack myself a meal. Not only did you share your food with me, but you stayed close and took interest in my life. So often, all I do is listen, and you gave me the chance to flip the script. I was allowed to express myself. I didn't have to just be a void that people scream into. Not to mention, you didn't just listen. No. You made me feel heard. I never really have known what it was like to feel special to someone. That was an accident. That was a fact that was never hidden from me. I was not made to be a part of this world. At least that is what I thought. But you have shown me my place. The part of the world I belong to. I belong to you. I know I seem to be moving fast, but it isn't like that at all. Like I said, I'm trying to make myself desirable, to be desired by you. It is something that has been painful and expensive and frustrating. But whenever I want to give up, all I have to do is imagine you, imagine us, imagine the life we could have if I do not give up. I've been a quitter all of my life, but no more. I cannot give up on you. I know that sounds obsessive, but it isn't like that. My logic is that if I do all of this work and improve myself, and you reject me, then I will have done the work to be desirable and will be able to put myself out into the world. However, if I do all of this and you accept my feelings, then it all works out anyways. Thank you.